Good evening. I am Marshall Bryant White, the leader of the Occupy Wall Street movement, and today I'm going to talk about one of the main reasons the Occupy Wall Street crowd continues to grow. The main reason is that public knowledge of income inequality and its source has grown quite large. The Bush tax cuts and the way they have affected our national debt over the last 10 years is the issue first and foremost. It must be understood that these tax cuts have essentially been the flint that started the fire that led us down the road to ruin. The U.S. national debt grew significantly from 2001 to 2008, both in dollar terms and relative size to the economy, even though budgeted spending was roughly the same as the Clinton administration, at basically 20% GDP. President Bush addressed income inequality flippantly in the year 2007, saying, "Income inequality has been rising for more than 25 years. The reason is clear. We have an economy that increasingly rewards education and skills because of that education. And what angers so many educated citizens is that we are educated, and we find ourselves being left behind with no jobs in this economy." To quote Wikipedia, economists point out that if education were to blame, a larger group would be pulling ahead of the rest of the population, and that wages of highly educated earners have fallen far behind those of the very rich. Furthermore, these economists point out that the U.S. is unique among developed countries in seeing such a sharp rise in inequality. While the composition of the economy and the labor force is not, if education were to blame, one would expect the same trend across all post-industrial nations. The accomplished economist Larry Bartels has asserted that this skill-based explanation is partially used as it is more comforting to blame interpersonal sources rather than policies and politics and people. So there we have it. The politicians trying to comfort the masses with soothing words rather than face the mistakes and correct them. And did we try and stop these policies from existing almost a decade ago? Yes, in fact we did. In 2003, 450 economists, including 10 Nobel Prize laureates, signed the Economist Statement opposing the Bush tax cuts and sent this to President Bush, stating that the tax cuts will worsen long-term budget outlook. It will reduce the capacity of the government to finance Social Security and Medicare benefits, as well as investments in school, health, infrastructure, and basic research. The Bush tax cuts will generate further inequalities in after-tax income. No one listened then. I hope someone listens now. Those 450 economists that were trying to prevent the Bush tax cuts from going through have grown to over thousands and thousands of people protesting all over the country. I hope more of them get this message, and I hope it spreads like wildfire.